these two wires moving. So these are marvelous sights. No? I spent half of my year in California, and we go and talk about these temples that we have got in Malta. We are really selling our island short. Nobody knows about the islands of Malta and what we have. So they know about the Maltese cross, some of them, and the knights and the Mintoff, and they all know about those things. Then you talk about the temples that are 1,000 years older than the pyramids. Who says these things? And nobody knows what we have. When we talk about them, they say, why don't you know about it? Why don't you? These are marvelous sites that we have got, okay? What's this here? And this? Hajrat Imjar. This? Gigantia. And the Nidra. This is the Nidra. Hajrat Imjar area was an incredibly big place, huge area of temples. With the temple that there is at Hajrat, church, Ledani Lupia, Skorba, and another site. There were at least 4 sites. Plus Gloria knows other places that there are connected with the temples. If you send somebody to do a mission, you have to have a leader. And the leader of this mission that came from the Pleiades purposely through Sirius to download these energies was called Aswara. To the Greeks, he was known as Poseidon, and to the Romans, he was known as Neptune. And the funny thing is that he is in the middle of our Grandmaster Palace. The statue of Poseidon. Not many people. What is he doing there? Well, he was in charge of here, of this whole operation. So he should be in the middle of the palace, you know. Other names that he got later on, he is a sort of a multi-dimensional being, so he can live long. Atlas, Ra, Osiris, Mithras, Apollo, and Enoch. And he was based here. It's a story. I will eventually say the story about Aswaris in the second book. I'm telling you now, this big, long story in a very short stories, so you can understand the picture.
Francis,
yes.
One question. Before you were saying about, we got that diagram, I remember, about knowledge coming from through the center of the universe, to the center of the galaxy, to the sun, to the earth, to us. And basically, the temples, you might assume, were a vehicle for receiving that information, yes? And transmitting it to people. So with them gone, are we now the beacons, you would think?
That's a good one. Well done.
I'm just thinking, is this your same opinion, yes?
Shall I jump or we are coming to that?
We're coming to that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So Suarez was in charge to do this mission. So he got together, he got his queen, Ashtatara, the queen of Atlantis, set up base in Malta and this landmass, which we were attached to Libya, more to Sicily. And they started the operation to download these energies, and they started building the sites to download these energies for the benefit of the human race and planet Earth. This took a lot of years, some years, so they could have done it quick. And at the end of the whole program, they celebrated and built a different temple, which is Hajar. Hajar is the youngest of all the story. If you go to Hajar, you go to the main temple, okay? But if you notice on the left and around you, there are the old temples. They are still there. And but then they built this particular Hajar to commemorate the end of this project. What do you know what the Maltese used to call Hajar in the olden time? This is our history, and they don't tell us. And it's there, it's written, but they leave things out. Hajar to the campesinos, to the farmers around Erendi in 1700, when the King of France was interested in our temples, and we still didn't know that there are temples, but the King of France heard about them, he sent his painter, Joe Ho, to paint these prehistoric sites. And what they told him, the people from Erendi, that this site of Hajar which it was not used called Hajar it was Tadar Nadur Isrira. Dar Nadur Isrira. His French, talking to farmers, and possible Aswara changed to Isrira. The place, Dar, the house, Nadur, on high ground, where you see, Nadur, and Gozo, high ground, Nadir, where you can see, Aswara. So this was the place on high ground of Aswara, of Poseidon. That's how the Maltese knew Hajar. Is it not better than Hajar? What it is supposed to be. Tadar Nadur Isrira. Beautiful. So that was his place to commemorate. If you go to Hajar restaurants, have you been to Hajar restaurant?
Yes.
The lady, what's her name? Jane. If you go into the garden, there are huge stones, because all the stones of the temples were found on the east side of the temples. All the temples, the stones were blown from west to east. Something came from the west. Tsunami? And she has got a lot of these big temple sites, the big temple stones in her garden. And she wanted to do the garden, and she found the fountain, and she finished the fountain. And then the gardener, she said, it needs something. It needs a statue. Go and get a statue from the garden center. He went, oh, this is nice. And he took the statue, put it on the fountain. He didn't know what he picked. What did he pick? Poseidon statue. In Hajar restaurant. Looking at the temple. Marvelous coincidence. These beautiful stories. No, these are sort of the anecdotes, but it makes it beautiful. So Aswara, Poseidon, was back to look after cooking. Before you enter Zurriya, you remember now we have got the most beautiful roundabouts in the world, you know? The Malta Tourist Authority is doing a bus for tourists to go see the roundabout. It's marvelous. No? They are selling a visit to go and see the roundabout. One of these roundabouts, as you enter Zurriya, what do you have? You know, there is that roundabout with a lot of statues there. In the center, Poseidon. Marvelous. So even there, he is basically taking you into the town, into the valley, to Zurriya, with Zurriya, to Hajar. Before you go, I'll give you the ticket. I check the passport. Marvelous. Okay, Poseidon. And there it was. So this enclosed in the center of the Mediterranean, which was not sea, it was land, with two big, huge lakes, was the center known as the Great Green, and the word that was Mediterra. And Malta was the center of the land. During Atlantis, there were a chain of mountains that went around the eye, the center, that had got the system of high mountain, higher past. There were three. The symbol of Poseidon is a triton, three. Positive, negative, pull down, or masculine, feminine, mass. Everything is three. Also, the mountain chain had three energies. This is Giza here. And Malta, Gozo, Malta, Comino. Three mountains that were in the middle of the land, connecting with Libya. This is a recent map that they found in a recent map that they found in Egypt, which is the Great Green. Kemet is the name, old name for Egypt, and the Nile used to go from down Victoria and used to pass through the middle of the Mediterranean out Gibraltar. And you can see it. This was all land before the great water came through here and flooded this whole area.
I'd like to add two things, if I may. This river is acknowledged by scientific research, the existence. They found the old way, the old going of the river to the sea on air photographs made during World War II. And after World War II, those photographs were studied, and quite recently it was published that there was indeed a river, and they found it. One. Two, also the pyramids in Bosnia, not that familiar, but I'm connected to those, are...
You're talking here, the pyramids here, okay?
Yes.
Bosnia.
Are three. That's really interesting that they found it.
Yeah. Everything that was the Atlantean, everything was based on this three, principle of three. And the colors was red, white and black. And eventually after the collapse of Atlantis and this land was flooded, they went into Egypt. And what is the flag of Egypt? Red, white and black. They are still carrying the colors of Atlantis. And Atlantis, then they built their civilization, their pyramids, their monuments that they have got. And this is only a shadow of what Atlantis was. So the pyramids that we see, so they're a shadow of what Atlantis was before. Right. So the Atlanteans, for Malta, meant the place of large stones plus the middle of the center of the earth. That should be here, and which is here. The Malta means the center of the earth. For the Egyptians, they called Malta the same consonants, Melita. In Mosta, near the what's it, Tal Speranza, near the chapel of the Speranza, that whole area is called Mlit. So the connection between Egypt and Malta, the Egyptians that followed Malta, the Egyptians that learned from Malta, is strong. They called Malta Melita. They called the people that came from Malta Mlitin, and which meant for them Mlit, de Litos, the place of large stones. And do we have large stones? Do we?
Could I ask? I mean, what is the connection with the red, white, and black? And is it life, death, rebirth, the same as the threefold goddess worship? When you're talking about the Egyptian flag being red, white, and black, and the connection with Atlantis, Well, what do you feel it represents then? Is that the life, death, rebirth thing?